I think I've come to that point in life where I actually have to do maths to figure out or remember how old I actually am. Hello, I'm Kristen, also known as Voolenvine, here on my YouTube channel where I chat about what I'm knitting, what I'm sewing, what I'm making, and as always, I'm just so happy that you're here hanging out with me, chatting about all those wonderful magical things. And yes, I am back. I took a week off, just, life stuff and, nothing bad, just I had a lot going on, so I didn't get a chance to record. But I'm back this week with, I think, a relatively short episode, but hopefully a good one. So gather around, grab a cup of something, and let's get into things. But just a couple of announcements before we get into all that good stuff. We have our history make-along that is currently underway, and that is a year-long make-along where we're all endeavoring to make something historically inspired. So pick a time period, pick a time era that you're drawn to, and make something inspired by it. Be it sewing, weaving, knitting, embroidery, whatever your craft is, you are so welcome to join. And that is running until March 1st of this year, 2021. So there's still plenty of time to join, although that window is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And if you have no idea what the heck I'm talking about, I highly recommend you hop on over to Instagram and search the hashtag HistoryMAL, and you'll be able to see all the beautiful, wonderful projects that participants have been making and sharing. And that's all you really have to do to join, is use that hashtag, share your makes, share what's inspiring you. And come March 1st, 2021, I will choose a winner to win a giveaway prize. And again, I'm still working on the giveaway prize, but trust me, it is gonna be good. So that is one way to join. If you would like to double dip or Instagram is not your jam, that kind of rhymed. Anyway, if for some reason you don't want to join via Instagram, you can certainly hop on over to the Voolenvine Ravelry group, where there is a thread dedicated to this make-along. It's History Make-Along MAL, and in that thread, same rules apply. Just join the chatter, share your makes, photos, what have you, and come the deadline, I will lock that thread and likewise choose a winner. So do check that out. Even if you have no intention of joining, it's just a really fun and inspiring thread with lots of inspiration. So do check that out. Last but not least, you know where I'm going with this, don't you? This channel is sponsored by Skillshare, which is an online learning community platform where you can learn pretty much anything. A lot of us are stuck at home right now, so I can't think of anything better to do than to pick up a new craft or skill or hobby, and there is no better place to do that than Skillshare. They have so many classes, be it art, painting, sketching, drawing, illustration. They also have weaving, knitting, sewing, believe it or not. You name it, 9 out of 10, it's probably on Skillshare. And as you know, I love dabbling in photography, and I cannot count how many classes there are in photography. I've learned so much through Skillshare. And as a small business owner, I definitely use Skillshare to learn things that I need to know in the moment regarding running a small business. So there's a lot to be had on that platform. So if that's something that interests you, click on the link in the description box below and you'll get to try Skillshare for 2 weeks absolutely free on yours truly. You're welcome, and thank you, Skillshare. Just because I took a week off from recording does not mean that I have not been knitting. Oh no, my friends. I have been knitting, and I am happy to report that I have a finished object to share with you this week. What? Yeah, guys. It's done! It's done, it's done, it's done. Oh my goodness, you guys. I have no words. I have no words. All right, words, Kristen. Words. Find them immediately. This is the Quill Shawl, a pattern that I cast on not too long ago. This is the Quill Shawl, a pattern by Jared Flood, also known as Brooklyn Tweed, and it is a ginormous hat shawl. And here it is in all of its squarish glory. Oh my goodness, yeah, you are not going to be able to see this whole thing in all of its glory. Thankfully, I did take some photos of me wearing it and modeling it, so I will pop some of those in here. And yes, I did wear a crown. Because why not? Just to zhuzh things up a bit and make these portraits just a little bit more exciting for myself. Plus, it's my birthday this weekend, so you know. I finished this on Wednesday. At the time that I'm recording this, it is Thursday, so I finished it last night, and I blocked it, and let me tell you, traditionally these shawls, Hap shawls, they're square and they're giant, and they're blocked on frames. Unfortunately, I don't have a frame. I know you can build one, but I basically just spread out my blocking mats, had some T-pins, and spent an hour just pinning everything in place, and I tried to be as aggressive as I could in the small space that I have to block my finished objects. And I will pop a photo in here so you can see what it looked like while I was blocking. And yeah, as you can see or imagine, this took me quite a while to block out. I didn't count how many pins that I used, but pinning out all those little teeth at the edgings was no picnic, I'm not gonna lie. But it blocked out so beautifully. I'm so happy with it. And it is so cozy, you guys. Oh, I'm in love. I'm in love. This is the best birthday present to myself ever, I think. I couldn't think of anything better. I mean, let me count the ways. Oh, it's beautiful. I love it. If I don't say so myself. This is gonna keep me super warm. I don't know, I'm just gonna wear it everywhere. I'm just gonna live in this forever. I want to be buried in this. Anyway, let me talk about the yarn. The yarn is, of course, Fox Hill Farm Cormo Cross, and I've been coveting this yarn for years. I'm not going to go through the whole story, but I tell the tale of how this yarn came into my life in the last episode. So if you want to check that one out, I'll link to it in the doobly-doo up here. But yes, this yarn I accumulated over the course of, I want to say, 4 or 5 years. Yeah, so it's been living and burning a hole in my stash for quite some time, and I was just not able to find the perfect project for it. But recently I was browsing Ravelry and the quill shawl popped into my feed, and I immediately thought of the Fox Hill Farm in my stash, and it was done. It was a done deal. I cast on. I want to say that I knit this over the course of, I don't know, the beginning of January, I want to say. Yeah, if I'm not mistaken. So I cranked this out pretty quickly, and I'm shocked. Normally when it comes to these knitted on borders, I kind of cringe a little bit because in the past when I've knitted on borders, it kind of takes me a while, but I've just been in one of those, you know, I don't want to say funk or anything. It's not really a funk. I've just been going through a phase of just knitting monogamously on one particular project, and you'd be amazed how quickly you can get projects done. I mean, mind blown. Anyway, yeah, so I'm really proud of myself for sticking with this project, but that of course means that this is the only project, once again, that I have to share with you on the episode. Yeah, I'm enjoying just being monogamous with one project, because when I do have more than one project on the go, I just get overwhelmed, and yeah, I never finish anything. I don't know what suddenly made me such a monogamous knitter. I don't know, maybe COVID. But, you know, I'm not going to question it because I like this trajectory that I'm on. So yeah, I'm trying to think what else I want to say about this, because I feel like there's so much. It feels like a major accomplishment. This is no easy feat, although the pattern itself was fairly easy to knit. I mean, you're just knitting one giant garter stitch square, and then you're picking up all the stitches around the edges and knitting this super simple feather and fan stitch right here. Very simple, easy to memorize, intuitive. And then once you're done with that, you just knit the border. You make your way all around the square, knitting the knitted on lace border, and it's a 12 stitch repeat. And I have to say, after all these little repeats around the edge, I never got to the point where I memorized it completely, so I did have to have the chart in front of me, but honestly it really didn't prevent me from being able to sit and relax, listen to podcasts, or, you know, watch YouTube videos. Yeah, it was just such a pleasure, enjoyed in it. I highly recommend it. And dare I say, beginner friendly. All I have to say is that you just have to have the patience to sit there blocking it out once it's all said and done, because this is the small one and it is huge. So I can only imagine what it's like to block the large version. But yeah, just an overall beautiful, beautiful pattern. I believe I used a US size 5 needle. And when it came to knitting on the border, I had all of my stitches at the time on an 81 centimeter 32 inch, I believe. Oh my gosh, look at me. I'm using centimeters these days. who am I? But yes, I believe it's like an 80 centimeter circular that all of my stitches were on. And when it came time to knit the knitted on border, the needles felt a little wonky to manage. So I brought in one of these double pointed needles. It's just a plain, simple 4-inch double pointed needle. Again, a size US 5 or 3.75 millimeter needle, and just worked back and forth all around the edge using this. And that really, really helped me. And made things more manageable. So that's a tip if you are thinking about casting this on. Yeah, so I'm just really, really happy with the way this turned out. It's not without its mistakes. There are a couple of fudges that I had to do in there, but you know, I don't think anyone's gonna realize or notice unless you really, really look at it. But look how pretty that is, guys. Look how pretty. I'm just, yes. The other thing I should mention is that it took about 3 skeins to complete, and this is how much yarn that I had left over. Each skein had about 394 yards in it, so it's a significant amount of yardage. So I was a little concerned that I would just squeak by, but turns out I had this much left. I don't know what I'm gonna do with this, but yeah, it's just my little ball of Cormo that I'm going to keep in my pocket and pet it and love it and call it George.
I will name him George, and I will hug him and pet him and squeeze him.
Yeah, so anyway, I digress. Yeah, I think that is all that I have to say about my quill shawl, other than I am smitten and in love with it and highly, highly, highly recommend it. And there goes my boiler. The woes of recording in a basement, as I mentioned, is pretty much all that I have to share with you this week as far as projects are concerned. Although I am tossing around the idea of casting on something new this afternoon, and that is the Reluctant Homeschooler, a pattern by Caitlin Hunter. And this is a pattern that I talked about several episodes ago. It's just a very, very simple, ginormous, oversized, cozy, comfy cardie. And I have just the yarn for it. I don't know what I did with the label, but this is by Valley Yarns. I picked up 2 skeins of this when I went to Webb's Yarn Store before hitting up the New England Fiber Festival over a year ago. So yeah, it's bulky weight, which the yarn calls for, and I'm trying to think, yeah, Valley Yarns, it's 100% Bolivian wool. I forgot what the actual name is, but I'll put it all in the down bar and link to where you can get this yarn below. But it is just this really lovely, muted, light, delicate, I mean, it could be pastel, but I don't see pastel. It's just a very light, muted, light lilac. I'm most likely going to cast this on today, but we shall see, we shall see. I did browse Ravelry really briefly just to see what else was out there, and oh my gosh, you guys, the Bernie mittens, the Bernie patterns. It's insane. I love it. I love it so much. I'm very tempted to cast on a Bernie sweater myself. If you haven't seen it already, Caitlin Hunter, who designed the Reluctant Homeschooler cardigan, also just released a free pattern, a free pullover pattern based on Bernie's mittens. So if you haven't seen it yet, I will link to it below or pop a photo of it on here. So I'm very tempted to cast that one on as well. I just don't have the yarn for it in my stash right now, so that is going in my queue. I want some piece of Bernie in my hand knit wardrobe, so stay tuned for that. I do want to browse Ravelry and see if I can find some big, nice, chunky wooden buttons to put on this, because I think that would really put a nice touch to this project. And Margot the mannequin, you're probably wondering what she's wearing this week. Yes, she is wearing the Love Note, a sweater pattern by Tin Can Knits. Super popular pattern, very easy and delightful to make, and highly recommend it, especially if you're a beginner or new to sweater knitting. I cranked this out again in about a month, and I was by no means monogamous knitting on that, so just goes to show you. It's knit out of Voolenvine yarns, which is my hand-dyed yarn company, holding together 2 strands, 1 strand of my Nouveau base, which is a single ply merino, superwash merino, and Ghost Lace, which is a lace weight mohair silk blend, and it is absolutely delightful. I love it, and yeah, I will link to the project page where you can see all of the details about it. But yeah, And that, my friends, is officially all the creative content that I have to share with you this week. So I will move right along into the Blather segment, a segment where I chat about what's been happening and going on in my life, should you care to stick around. And yes, my sojo is nowhere to be found. I don't know what is up, what's in the water, but I've just I've tabled sewing for a little bit. And you know what? As I say, that is completely okay. I'm okay with that. It'll come back when it comes back. I'm not forcing anything because usually when I do that, that just kind of leads to frustration and then nobody's happy. In the meantime, I've been going very strong and heavy on photography. As I mentioned last week, I've been going on these photo walks, you know, just to get out of the house and get in the habit of, you know, taking my camera with me wherever I go and taking more photos. And again, I'm having so much fun doing that. I'm learning so much and I feel like I'm improving when it comes to photography and composition. It's really, really fun. You know, if I highly recommend that, you know, if you're looking for an excuse to get out of the house and you feel like stuck at home, you have nothing to do, you can't go shopping or, you know, meet up with friends, like just getting your smartphone, taking a walk and just taking photos of whatever catches your eye. Yeah, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. And I actually did treat myself to a new little camera. I actually ended up selling some of my lenses that I wasn't using as much and then put that towards this new camera. But if you're curious, I did get the Fuji X100V, which is a really tiny, compact camera, digital fixed lens. And what I mean by fixed lens is that it comes with one lens, you can't swap them out, and it has one focal length. It equates to about a 35 millimeter, which, you know, is really challenging for me. It's like when I'm presented with all these options for, you know, different types of lenses, I like the fact that when I go out shooting, I know that I'm just going to be shooting at 35 millimeters, and it really pushes me to, you know, zoom with my feet and do my best to get those compositions. Anyway, I'm geeking out completely, but again, having so much fun with it. So there's that, and I'm trying to think what else. This weekend is my birthday. I forget how old I'm going to be. I think I've come to that point in life where I actually have to do maths to figure out or remember how old I actually am. I'm somewhere in my 30s. Upper 30s, so I'm getting there. But yeah, so I don't have any grand plans for my birthday. I'm sure Dennis and I are probably just going to have a nice quiet dinner. You know, we're still socially distancing and laying low and trying to be as safe as possible. But you know, we're gonna try and have a nice day together. And I'm certainly going to get some knitting done, some crafting done, and probably take a day or two off next week. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. My birthday falls on a Sunday, so it's kind of one of those weird things where it's like I can't exactly take off on my birthday because it's Sunday. I could take off Monday, but Monday I have to package orders from Friday. So yeah, it's a delicate balance that I have to work out. But anyway, I'll figure it out, I'm sure. At this point, I'm rambling, so I'm gonna end things there. Thank you so much as ever for hanging out with me. And if you're new here, welcome to my little corner of the interwebs. If you did enjoy this episode, please feel free to like and subscribe down below. I put out a video for your viewing pleasure every week, and except with the exception of last week and occasionally when, you know, there's a holiday. Anyway, I'll be back next week with some more yarny goodness to share with you. And until then, happy knitting, happy sewing, and I'll see you next time. Bye!